Well, I'd like to offer everyone a very warm welcome to this latest Rangers webinar. Today I'm delighted to be joined by James Bisgrove, Director of Commercial and Marketing at Rangers Football Club, and also Rangers Sporting Director Ross Wilson. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining us today. Hope you're both well. I think we should probably just get straight into it. The big questions have all come in from the supporters, and we're very grateful for them. It's getting to that time of year very quickly. James, I think we'll start with yourself. Can you just outline, first of all, the approach for season 21-22 Rangers season tickets?
Good afternoon, Nick. Thank you very much. And I think it's fantastic to have this platform again together with Ross, obviously, just to have this opportunity to update supporters on a few topics. There's a lot happening, and obviously it's been a fantastic period for the club. So I think before we talk about the specifics of the 2021 season ticket renewals, I think it would be remiss of us not to probably recognise the season that's just taken place and the phenomenal backing that the club has had. You know, we sold out 45,000 season tickets in a season that was like no other. And I think, you know, everyone right across the club, whether that's the board, the staff, the players, I think they all recognise that the season ticket holders were absolutely fundamental to the success that the team achieved this year to 55. So I think that loyalty, continues to humble all of us at the club. So yeah, looking ahead to 2021 season, this week we're going to open the window for the season ticket renewals. Some kind of factual information on that. You know, fundamentally one of the key things that we've decided to do is freeze the prices. We felt that that's absolutely the right thing to do, as I said, in recognition of that loyalty, but I think also given the current climate that we all find ourselves in. And we've also tried to be as flexible as we can in terms of the different payment methods, and also provide quite a bit of choice. So on the club website, the emails that season ticket holders will receive, there will be a number of how-to videos, a few tutorials just to explain exactly what those options are. And just to run through them very briefly, the first one is a bank transfer, so very, very simple payment method there. We've also reintroduced direct debits. So for all supporters that were previously on the auto renewal, we've now got the direct debit option, which is particularly handy because it can also link to the CCCS scheme. So that means obviously when we've got European games or cup games, you know, you've got that automatic opportunity to get tickets there. Credit and debit cards will continue to be available. There'll be links emailed out to all the supporters that want to choose that option. And beyond that as well, the most flexible option we've probably got is that 10-month payment plan. So all of this information will be on the website. It will be emailed to supporters, and that will run right through until the 17th of May. So it's a 5-week window right through until the end of the season. There'll be continuous kind of communication that's ongoing. The ticket centre customer service staff will be there on hand as well to support wherever possible. And I think, you know, this season more than ever, and we'll go on to talk about this, we're very optimistic that our season ticket holders are going to be back in the stadium experiencing this team live. The season that's just gone meant that we had to have this virtual match pass, and we invested heavily in RangersTV to make sure that experience was as close and as connected to the support as possible. That will remain as a backstop, but we really hope that it's a backstop and it's something that won't have to come to fruition. So hopefully that gives a bit of a synopsis, Nick, and a bit of a summary in terms of the season ticket process for the coming weeks.
Yeah, and I think to follow on from that, Ross, it's probably worth asking yourself just how much the footballing department are looking forward to the return of supporters, hopefully sooner rather than later.
I think it's really important that our fans know and understand, and I'm sure they do, but even in a season where they have not been with us at Ibrox, out in Europe or anywhere else in Scotland at the away games, from Stephen to the coaches to the players, myself, the board, everybody, we've absolutely felt the support of the fans. We've felt the energy, and James and I talk every day, and that definitely started from the moment that James was telling me we sold 45,000 season tickets, and that was an incredible uptake. And then to whether it's season tickets, whether it's MyGers memberships, or just the general backing that we feel all the time for everything we do, we've absolutely felt that energy and support this season. And delivering title 55 was really, really important to everybody in the club. Nobody more than the supporters. We absolutely understand that, and we felt their support significantly throughout this season. So we're eternally grateful in a season that was like no other. when the fans couldn't get to the ground, couldn't follow us wherever we go. And we are absolutely looking forward to seeing Ibrox full again. We understand that that's likely to be in a staged process. We're looking forward to seeing the fans follow us into Europe again, because again, we've had an outstanding campaign in Europe once again. But having the fans with us wherever we go is something that we're immensely looking forward to.
And Nick, maybe just as we wrap up on season tickets, two quick points there that builds on what Ross has said. I think in terms of that support and the backing the team has had this season, we believe it's actually unprecedented in European football to have 45,000 season ticket holders go through the season that we've just gone through. It's unique to this club, and it's something that's very, very special. And second point there is any stage return for supporters. This is something that we're going to do a great deal of fan engagement on. Whatever we do will be very fair, will be very transparent, and we'll make sure that it's in the best interest of all supporters. So we're preparing ourselves for that eventuality, hopefully in July and August, and building up from there.
And that's a nice segue on to MyGers, James. The club obviously recently launched the new season campaign for MyGers. Will there be any changes ahead of the new season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think next season we hope that MyGers can really come to life in the way that we'd always envisioned that it would. But again, the season that's just taken place, the debut season for MyGers, if you like, to get close to 30,000 members and already be the biggest football club membership anywhere in Scotland it's been phenomenal. And what's fundamentally important there is that the revenue derived from MyGers, which is now beyond 7 figures, goes directly into the first team. So Ross's leadership and under Stephen's management, there's a direct influence and impact there on the first team performance. So all of those MyGers members can really feel, hopefully, that contribution to the success this season. And what we're really going to try and dial up is that fan engagement element. That's one of the core pillars of MyGers. And we've used virtual ways this season, whether that be fan forums, whether that be webinars with first team players. We had Scott Arfield last week, club captain James Tavernier. We want those to be live, real experiences next season. We've already spoken about hosting a live training session at Ibrox. We'll hopefully do that in the summer months. And beyond that, there'll hopefully be signing sessions and meet and greets with players as we continue to build out the fan engagement element of MyGers. The other really exciting thing for me for MyGers next season is everything is under the umbrella of the 150th anniversary theme. So the packs, the merchandise, it will be limited edition. They're really, really special, and they'll be sent out to all the members in the summer months. And finally, it's that priority access, whether that be ticketing, whether that be club events. And I'll go on to talk about some of the events that we're planning for the next 12 months. It will be those MyGers members that get that first opportunity, if you like. So we're really excited to bring it to life in the way that we'd always envisaged that it would exist. Absolutely.
And on the subject of the club really ever sort of pushing on and always wanting to strive for the very best, Ross, this is probably a good one for yourself. And this question comes from Ross Nelson. He says, it's easy to see from the outside the club is now operating at a high level, and congratulations on that. What are the key things to improve on to get to the next level from your perspective, if you're able to share that?
No, of course, it's a really good question as well. When I'm asked questions like this, I always go back to the opening press conference that I did when I joined Rangers. I firmly believe that as Rangers, we've got to make sure that we're strong in every single area. And one of the things that I want to do, I know James wants to do, backed by Chairman Douglas Park, our Vice Chairman John Bennett, Stuart Robertson as our MD, we all share the same vision here. That what we want to do is improve every facet of this club all the time. And when I'm asked if we want to be really strong in one area, the answer is always yes. But it's a bit much more than that for us. So we identified the pillars by which we want to make our football side excellent. We have to be really strong in player trading. We've spoken about that before. We've got massive upside there to work to the future on. We've made significant investment in our scouting and recruitment, whether that's in our people, in our software, in our data. We've made significant investments in our medical and sports science. We've got further evolutions on that to come over the next couple of months. How we use data there. There'll be some new people joining an already existing strong team, but we want to make that better. Over the last international break, we started to make our environment even better. The facilities here at Auchenhowie, where we are today, and at Ibrox, we made some evolutions for the players, some upgrades to some facilities here. And then looking ahead to the summer, we're already working on how can we improve Ibrox again. Last summer, We invested in the dressing room area for the players. We invested in the tunnel area. I know there's been a lot of talk about the pitch at Ibrox, and probably nobody talks about that internally more than me. I know that Stuart Robertson, for one, gets fed up hearing me talk about the pitch, but I'm delighted that everybody agrees that we have to have a significantly better surface for the players there. Not only because the one that we've got is just fundamentally not good enough for us, but because the style of football that Stephen and the guys want to play, we need the pitch to be much better than it's been. So that's one of the next focuses for us. We're constantly evolving how we're working in our academy. Again, we've been delighted with the emergence of Nathan Patterson. He's shown his quality a lot in recent weeks, but we want our academy to produce even more. And Craig and myself and everybody in the academy is working towards that. And just everything that we wrap around the team as well. So the answer is never a simple one for me. This is a busy job. It's a job that needs a lot of energy. It needed a plan. We've got a clear plan from a football operations standpoint to build what we call a modern winning Rangers. We're definitely well on the way to that. I'm really happy with our evolution, working with Stephen every day at first team level, working with Craig every day at academy level, working with James, Andrew, Stuart across the board in the club to make sure that every single aspect of this club is strong. We need to be relentless to keep pushing this club to new levels. But to say which area do we need to improve is always far too simplistic for me, because I think we need to drive so many areas, and we've done lots of good work already. The place genuinely feels unrecognisable, even from a year ago. I'm sure James would echo that. We talk all the time about the type of work we need to do to improve this club, but that can never stop, and we've constantly got to have a feeling of what next. And I know the guys, as I say, probably get fed up with me at some points, because whenever we're finished one project, we're always looking at what can we do next. But I'm delighted that, you know, my relationship with Stephen every day, he's exactly the same. The chairman's exactly the same. We all want the very, very best for Rangers, but that means building every single one of our departments, every single one of our areas, and the key pillars by which we have built our football operations strategy on. We have to improve them all the time. And even when we're really happy with what we've got, we've always got to look at what can be better for us. So that's the direction. A lot of exciting plans for us all the time. As I say, we started some things in the last international break, and there'll be further evolutions across the summer as well to make sure we build our Rangers that everybody can be immensely proud of on the pitch and also off the pitch.
Yeah, and that growth, James, that Ross speaks about is certainly the case also in the commercial side of the club. And, you know, Rangers have been recognised quite a lot in the press for the huge growth in commercial partners. But then you look and you see both the League and the Scottish Cup currently remain unsponsored. How would you explain that?
Nick, the importance of having a really strong broadcast infrastructure and a group of committed partners for any league, for any cup, for any club is huge, not only for economic reasons, but also in terms of audience and growing the brand. So, of course, Rangers wants to do our part and support that at whether it's at a league level or cup level, but quite obviously our focus is on Rangers, and we are really fortunate in the group of partners that we have today. We sit at 30 commercial partners, committed partners to the club, and it's a family of partners that's grown rapidly in the last 18 months. I think we were at 10 or 11 partners, and we're really fortunate to have a partnership group as committed as they are. And so that's something that we're constantly striving to do in terms of increasing that group, but at the same time making sure that we recognise those that were within it. And just to name a few, we've obviously got Kindred Group that's been our main partner since 2014. They've invested several millions into the club in that time, and it's a relationship and it's an investment that we hope will continue. We've got Castore that have come in this season for their inaugural year, if you like, as our kit and retail partner. The end of all the previous kit and retail contracts, and Castore coming in and really taking that to the next level in terms of that retail offering. And I'm very excited around what's coming on that sense for next season. So look, no, I think we're delighted with what we've been able to achieve in a short space of time, particularly in the current climate. But as I said, to echo Ross's point, we're never standing still. We're pushing forward. We've got some really exciting conversations on the go at the moment, and hopefully some further announcements that we'll be able to share with supporters very soon.
Yeah, and never standing still, is very true across the departments. Ross, this one actually comes from Martin Brines. Martin, thank you for your question. Rangers have made proposals to have Colts in the lower leagues. Could you tell us what the alternative plans are if the proposal fails? For example, is there a view that the Colts could enter at the bottom of the pyramid instead?
Thanks for the question, Martin. So I think the B teams, as we call them, rather than Colts, is a program of player development that we fundamentally believe in. We believe in it as a club. We believe in it as a group of people. And it's a proven model of success that you can see in many countries throughout Europe. And as every season goes past, we can see another country bringing that model on board. I think it goes without saying that we are disappointed that as a country, we have still not made any headway on that as we stand here today. But it is a project that we believe in, and I find it hard to imagine a moment where we wouldn't believe in that. We know that we know that it's something that we've given huge backing to, but I think for us, if you remember, we played a big part in creating what we called the Scottish Football Innovation Paper, and that was about much more than B teams, because for us, player development needs to sit right at the heart of Scottish football, and we feel that as a country, we are fundamentally missing a key part of young players' development, particularly between the ages of 17 and 21. It's no coincidence that so many countries throughout Europe have gone in that direction, and we would hope that this country would understand that. We also understand that in the lower leagues in particular, there's some fans and things that don't buy into that model, and we have to respect that, and we have to respect that fans in different clubs in different parts of the country have got different opinions on that, and they're absolutely entitled to those views. But what we would always say is we want player development to sit at the heart of a national strategy, and we currently don't see that strongly enough within the country. And what we've spoken about in terms of B teams isn't something that we've just plucked from thin air. It's something that's based in strong research and models that work throughout Europe and models that are evolving all the time. We want to see Scottish football be open-minded to that, but equally, we as Rangers are also open-minded to anybody that wants to come forward with an alternative model. And somebody might say, okay, we don't want to go with B teams, but here's what we do want to go with. Something that, again, has player development sitting right at the heart of it. But we're not seeing that at the moment. And we would love to see player development sit much higher up the agenda. To directly answer Martin's question regarding I think he said the bottom of the pyramid, it's not something we've discussed at this moment in time, but we are looking at alternative routes to develop our players. Our loan model is something that we've worked hard on. Billy Kirkwood runs that for us. We've worked hard on that. We've saw some strong performances from some of our players out on loan this season. But one of the things that I've tried to change is fundamentally, I don't think that every young player who has to be successful at Rangers has to go on loan first. We saw that with Nathan's strong emergence this season. We've got a couple of other players training with the first team with Stephen, Gary, Michael and Tom every single day. And we're seeing huge evolutions in those players as well. So although the B team concept, the B team playing within the league structure is something we fundamentally believe in, it's not the only thing that we're looking at. Player development has got a number of strands to it, a number of different ways that we'll operate, and we will find a way to make sure we develop our best young players as strongly as we possibly can. But in respect to the B team model, it is important for us to constantly reiterate this is a model that has proven to be successful in many other countries, and every season that goes by, there are other countries embracing that, and we certainly want to see Scottish football be open-minded and innovative, but we are ready to hear if other clubs have got other ideas which might even be better than ours, then we're absolutely ready to listen, but we have to start to set player development right at the heart of our country's agenda.
James, just to move to a different department now, Rangers TV, the Rangers TV broadcast experience has reached new heights this season. Will that continue next season?
Yeah, it absolutely will. I mean, what we've done this year is place, as I mentioned in my prior answer, real emphasis and real investment on Rangers TV. And we've done that this year because of the unique situation that we find ourselves in. We wanted to have a live experience, a live show, and connect supporters as best as we could to that atmosphere safely from home. So that meant that we invested in, additional cameras. As I said, we had a live pre-match show, and we brought on board some of the highest caliber broadcasters to help us achieve that. Emma Dodds, Clive Tilsley, to name a few, some Rangers legends to provide some analysis. We remember when we had Walter Smith, Graham Souness together, and how special that moment was as well. And Neil McCann's been brilliant. So Rangers TV, from a subscription point of view, is at an all-time high, which for us is fantastic. We've been able to double the number of subscribers. So we know that the offering is resonating both domestically in the UK, but also equally important, it's providing that experience, that gateway to our international fan base, which is growing and is growing quickly. So even in a normal season, if you like, Rangers TV will still be the home of live games for our international fan base. And I really wouldn't like to see us reduce our standards there. I think we've set the bar high. I think we're being recognised across the board for that. And I think if you watch a Rangers TV match, whether that be through the app, linking it up to your smart TV, whatever your experience is in any part of the world, we want to be recognised for that. So absolutely, it's something that we'll continue to push boundaries on and continue to invest in for the years ahead.
Absolutely. This one probably covers both of you, given what's been said already. What responsibility, if any, does Rangers have in terms of sharing our best practices to help grow the game in Scotland? And that comes from Stuart Franklin.
Yeah, I think I'll take that first, James. I think when I mentioned earlier the Scottish Football Innovation Paper, clearly, and we always say this, there was aspects of that paper when we pulled it together that were to the benefit of Rangers. So we want to put that out there. We're not going to hide behind that or get away from that, because that's our jobs day in, day out to better Rangers. But also within that paper was elements that we felt were to the betterment of Scottish football. We spoke about strategic partnerships. We spoke about generating some income for clubs in the lower leagues. And there was many aspects to that paper which we thought were to the benefit, and still do think are to the benefit of Scottish football. But our absolute focus, of course, is Rangers. If we can benefit Scottish football along the way, then of course we'll be happy for everyone. We have saw the benefit of a strong Rangers performance in Europe. You've saw what's happened to the coefficient of the country, largely as a result of Rangers performances in Europe. Again, that brings fantastic revenues back in to Scottish football, but that of course is down to Rangers performance. So the question for me is in two halves. Our absolute focus is Rangers. That's what we're paid to do. That's why we're here every day, to make Rangers absolutely successful. If we can help contribute to the success of Scottish football as a result of our work here for Rangers, then obviously that's a positive for everyone. But first and foremost, we've got to make a strong Rangers, and we feel that we're right on the path to doing that. But if anybody thinks that we can contribute to Scottish football in a bigger way, then we're here and we're ready to do that as well.
Yeah, I would agree, Nick. I would echo that, and I think look, it's natural as the champions of Scotland, as the Premier team, that we're going to be people are going to look to us for that influence, that guidance, whether it's on the pitch but also off the pitch. And I'm fortunate enough to participate in some of the subcommittees we have on topics like broadcast and branding, and the club wants to see the audience grow for the club and for the league, so we're happy to contribute to those discussions. But again, our focus is Rangers, and driving commercial growth, driving fan engagement for Rangers, ensuring that we're the best team in Scotland, but also a top-tier team in Europe, is absolutely what we strive for. So we take that responsibility seriously. We want to contribute. We want to be part of the conversation. But we also, I suppose, have a much bigger picture to consider along the way.
Ross, two questions that are along similar lines. One comes from Joe Harker, one comes from Peter Adam. Really just want to know, obviously, you've got an extensive knowledge about pool of players. You've obviously built up a network. How much has that changed, obviously, moving from Rangers to Southampton? And also, how does then that work going forward? How can you then continue to build on the networks that you have in order to continue to attract top talent to Rangers?
Yeah, so I think that the word you use, network, there is a really, really important one for me personally, and certainly across the last 10 years in my time south of the border, that's one of the biggest things that I certainly developed as an individual, a professional in my own career is a really strong network across Europe. And we certainly want to use that network to our advantage here at Rangers. The network's certainly not changed moving from Southampton to here. I'm delighted with the contacts that I've built up, that we've now got as a club here as Rangers, that we can access. I mentioned quite early in my time here that I felt that the club had to become much more connected to the marketplace, and you do that by having that strong network behind you. And we've been able to leverage aspects of that network in our transfer activity so far. I think in terms of the future, we had to make investments in our scouting and recruitment team. We had some really strong operators here already under Andy Skolden's guidance, but we also had to build that out, particularly in Europe. I wanted to bring people to the club that are much more connected to the heartbeat of Europe. I wanted to grow out our use of data and analytics, not only in scouting, but also in medical and sports science. Jordan Milson's doing a great job in helping me drive all of that side of things, and we will move that forward again this summer with further innovation. And when we start talking about budgets or things, then we're completely incomparable. So there's no getting away from that. A club outside of the Champions League places in England would sit with a budget twice, 3, 4, and in some cases 5 times what ours is. But that shouldn't hold us back. We need to embrace that. We need to make sure that our strategy is built on having really strong people, strong teams here, underpinned by strong values, standards, behaviours, processes, principles, ways that we want to work. And I think that we're well ahead on that journey now. And I just feel that we're in a significantly stronger place today, probably than this club has been in at least a decade. And to help us connect to the market, but also to start to reach for the levels that we want to reach, then we're well on the way to doing that. We've made investment across the pillars, as I mentioned before, and more so than in our scouting and recruitment. The network that we can access now is significantly better than it was before, but also the use of our softwares and our data and our processes and procedures that we've now built and embedded here are going to be a strong use to us in every transfer window, looking ahead to the future and making us as strong a Rangers as we can possibly be.
Absolutely. This one is probably one for yourself, James, but Ross, you may have some input together. In fact, we'll take 2 together. The questions come from Andy Hanna and Andrew Hutchinson. Have you had sight or input into next season's kits from Castore? And if so, what are your thoughts on what you've seen? And also, are there any plans to open up any more Rangers stores?
James hates when I give comment on the kit because I always want to change something. So I'll let him take the question.
I'm interested to get Ross's feedback. But Andy and Andrew, thanks very much for the question. And I think I'll answer that specifically. But I think in terms of the Castore relationship, 10 months in, it's probably been a remarkable period for us and Castore as an organisation. The support, the numbers in which merchandise has been bought through the official channels has been phenomenal. We're close to 500,000 products being sold across strips, training wear, lifestyle accessories. We had an extensive Champions collection of products. So, it's been a phenomenal season. But if I rewind my mind back not too far, we had to operate in a really difficult framework there. We had a truncated 2 to 3 month window to launch 4 kits and a full range of training wear during a pandemic. And obviously there were some learnings in that experience. But what I can tell you is, the Castore team, Tom and Phil Beon, our team at Rangers, led by Alison and Natalie, that are working on that partnership are really committed to take it to that next level next season. So specific to your questions, yes, I've seen the kits for next year. They're absolutely stunning. It's obviously our anniversary season, so that's brought some inspiration in terms of the design of those particular kits. So we're really excited to launch those probably around June. So in time for the summer holidays, we'll launch the home kit. And also we've got some good news to share in terms of that expansion of the official retail network. So we've got 2 stores at the moment, the Rangers store at Ibrox Stadium and in Glasgow City Centre in Buchanan Galleries. Delighted to announce that in May we'll open a store in Belfast. That support in Northern Ireland, we know how loyal that support is, the number of season ticket holders, MyGers members there. So to be able to service them with an official store, it will be the only official store in Belfast, is really exciting. And that'll be quickly followed by the store at Glasgow Airport that we've spoken about before. That will probably be around the end of May into June, hopefully to synchronise with return to domestic and international travel. So lots more to come. We're actually in a period now where we've just agreed the 22-23 season kits. So we're working in the right timelines as we should for the first time. We're on we're on a really good footing there, and it's a very rich partnership in terms of hopefully what we'll be able to deliver in the next 12 months and beyond. So I'll pass to Ross because I'm intrigued to get his feedback on the kits as well. I know he's a kit connoisseur. He's got a few in the background there, so we'll get his input.
Yeah, you don't mean that for a minute. You hate any opinion I've got on kits. I'm a traditionalist where kits are concerned, but no, the kits for next season look excellent. The guys at Castore have been fantastic partners for us to work with from the football side. We recognise some early teething problems, which was natural given how quickly the guys at Castore had to step up and get us what we needed to get in such a short time frame. But from the football side, they've been an outstanding partner for us so far, both in terms of the match kit, but also the training kit that we wear every day. The kits for next season look outstanding, and as James touched on there as well, we had a meeting last week to start to look at the kits for 22-23, and they're also exciting. So we're really pleased with the direction there with that partnership, and long may that continue.
Absolutely. Obviously, we've also seen the Rangers women's team really push on this season, also wearing the fantastic Castore kits this season. Ross, on the women's team, Ross Nelson again asks, is the club solely focused on Scotland and then the Champions League route, or would the club look at trying for an invite to the English setup or similar, given the TV revenue that's starting to come from there?
Well, for the moment, we're very focused on where we're at. The project and the level of professionalism. We were the first club in Scotland, I think, to fully embrace the women's team full-time within our professional football operation here at Auchenhowie. Amy McDonald, Malky Thompson and Kevin are doing a brilliant job there at the moment. We had a significant and huge turnaround in players around a year ago. We were delighted to see the girls get back to playing last weekend against Hearts. They started brilliantly with a 6-0 win. So right here, right now, we're absolutely committed to what's right in front of us, which is doing well domestically in Scotland, hopefully becoming a Champions League club on the women's side as well. I mentioned being open-minded a couple of times earlier. We're very open-minded to what the future might hold, where that might be, how the game might evolve. But we certainly have embraced the women's structure within our professional structure here. The level of player we've got, the level of international player that's here, the commitment of the staff around that, how they've been embraced by everyone here. Stephen, Gary McAllister and I took a walk to watch some training a couple of Saturday mornings ago, and just having everything together here as one club here at Auchenhowie has been a massive step forward for us. The board have backed a significant investment for women's football, but first and foremost, we want to see that team be successful. And for Rangers, we know that a big part of that success has to be a winning Rangers team.
And Nick, maybe to come in there just with a couple of words, if I can, we're seeing a real shift as well from a commercial, from a marketing, from a broadcast point of view around the women's team. We've got a number of new sponsors that we'll announce shortly around the women's team. There's a commitment to put more of the games on Rangers TV as well, and our marketing team and our comms team are really ingrained in how we support that team. So it's really a one club mentality and making sure that we give the right back into the women's team, both on and off the pitch, in order that they can succeed.
James, one of the things you touched on earlier was obviously the club's 150th anniversary season, which we're now going into. And Matt Weir asked, with the 150th anniversary celebrations on the horizon, will we see detailed plans for Edmiston House and Ibrox facility and footprint upgrades, and also stadium tour upgrades? And will these be put on Rangers TV for fans to see?
Yeah, Matt, thanks for the question. And it's a topic that I speak about with a lot of excitement and a lot of enthusiasm. There's been an awful lot of planning and development that's gone into what we're seeking to achieve for our 150th anniversary season. And we are imminently going to release some plans, some new visuals around Edmiston House, some 3D visuals. It's a kind of a CGI video where we will launch a number of opportunities and packages as well for supporters to get involved. And the aspiration remains that this will become the premier multi-purpose venue in Scotland, whether that be for music, for concerts, for conferences, for functions. It's going to house the club museum. It's going to house the retail environment. There'll be some VIP areas within that. So New Edmiston House is one that is almost the pinnacle, if you like, of our plans for the 150th anniversary season. So there's a lot of work that's going on there from a construction point of view, but also in terms of events planning, in terms of actually recruiting the right people to run it for us and make sure that it meets all the objectives. But what I'm able to share now, and I'll just bring this up on the screen, is a little bit of a calendar that is not set in stone, but it hopefully shows that for the next year, some of the activities that we put in place in the run up to the 150th anniversary. So you can see here, as I mentioned, in April, we're gonna look more to communicate around Emerson House. We're going to launch a project that's called the Champions Walkway that will really transform an exterior part of Ibrox Stadium. Ross and I talk frequently about making sure that the standards at the stadium are as high as they possibly can be. That first impression, it needs to be, a flawless, modern, but also respecting the history sporting arena. So there are a number of projects that will help us achieve that. Moving into May, we were quite excited around what can happen around the trophy lift experience, whether the restrictions allow us to do something there with MyGers members, and then the stores are opening. And I think kicking off the season, the 150th anniversary season, at the right level, we're delighted to announce that Arsenal have accepted an invitation from Rangers to come to Ibrox, play in a celebration game in July, and really help us kick off the celebrations in the right way. It's Arsenal are a club that have a great friendship, a long history with Rangers, so we're delighted to have them on board. And I know, Ross, there's some other quite interesting and exciting pre-season plans that we'll be looking to outline from a football perspective very soon.
Yeah, we were delighted that even just at the start of April, we talk about forward planning and things, but our pre-season plan is virtually complete. We will announce things in the coming weeks as soon as we have approval from everybody we have to have approval from. We are very focused on a training camp in Europe. A venue that Stephen knows well, and somewhere that we'd be delighted to take the team to start our preparations off. Obviously, the Scottish FA removed permission for training camps, so we need that permission to return, which I'm sure it will. But if not, we'll have a backup plan in the UK as well. But we are delighted with the plan that we've got in place. We've then got a series of fixtures as well, which we're excited about. The Arsenal one's a fantastic one for us, but it's quite an exciting pre-season, both from a football perspective and for the fans as well, to hopefully be allowed to follow us around again, be back at Ibrox with us, create that energy that the fans always create around the Rangers team. But we're really happy that the pre-season plan, as I say, at the start of April, we've already got most of that boxed off.
Yeah, and just to kind of follow on some of the other plans there, and it builds on what Ross says. What's important for us around the anniversary celebrations is having a touch point with supporters, being able to engage them at the stadium, live events. We're planning to run a fan festival across the course of next summer, 2-3 day events. We're also looking at a number of quite special club events. For example, a Hall of Fame night is something that we're looking at. We want to also have a Legends match to reconnect some of the many, many legends of this football club, get them back on the park at Ibrox, have a celebration around that. We had some good success with the Liverpool Legends match, so there are plans in development to have a weekend as well of that nature. And as I said, it's going to be, as far as we can, really an action-packed and a very rich calendar of different events. It was great to see the initial reaction to the identity that we unveiled, and that 150th anniversary identity, that will really be overarching in terms of all of our visuals, all of our marketing, and all of our comms. So there's really a lot to come. Hopefully this gives a bit of a glimpse as to what's ahead, and we'll commit to maintain the support engagement and share updates as and when we can announce further initiatives.
Ross, there's a good number of questions, and thank you to Stephen Clifford and also to Colin Morrison, just asking around player trading, etc., and also just starting to look ahead to next season in terms of recruitment. How developed are the plans looking ahead to that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've done over the last 3 transfer windows is I firmly believe that we've now got a properly structured, balanced squad, which is aligned towards the budget that we want to be working to as well. We obviously, a lot of players have departed us as well, which was part of the plan, in order to build a solid and proper squad framework. Nathan Patterson's promoted from the academy, which was also something that we wanted to do. We've recruited a number of players who have made a really strong impact for us and will continue to do so. We have just announced some new contracts. Stephen Davis, Alan McGregor, James Tavernier, our captain, and then most recently Leon Balogun as well. So we're really happy with that work as well. These are guys that have been real pillars of strength for us, fantastic characters as well. Winners at Rangers before, some of them, and all of them winners again today. So that's been good for us. We strengthened our squad in January. Part of that was about getting the players here early, not only so they can be part of this club in a period of real success for us, but also the work that we do here. We recognise that we need to and we want to improve the players as well. So being on the training pitch with Stephen and Michael, Gary and Tom every day was an important part of getting those players here early. But also when I look at the work that Dr. Waller and Jordan Milsom, Craig Flanagan and all of the performance staff are doing as well to really improve those players physically, technically and tactically on the pitch has been massive for us. And that the gains that those players have made in all of those areas since they joined us in January have been hugely impressive. We're also continuing to assess where the market opportunities lie. We don't expect a massive turnover of squad, but we will be strengthening the team. There's no doubt about that. Stephen and I are working on a daily basis along with our scouting team and the rest of the coaches to make sure we know where those best opportunities lie within the market. We're constantly looking at how we can improve. But because we've got that real structured squad framework now, we can be very, very deliberate in our decisions. We are not scrambling around looking to fill gaps and vacancies in our group. We're really, really happy with how that's been aligned.
Yeah, and James, also just looking ahead finally to next season, the return of supporters. How we touched on it a little earlier, but how exciting is that for the club, and just how developed are the plans looking ahead to that as well?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like there's finally light at the end of the tunnel now, and it's been a long year for many, many reasons. But getting the supporters back into the stadium is 100% our emphasis now for the start of next season, perhaps even the pre-season program. And I think we've been encouraged by some of the developments we've seen here in the UK. We've seen that test events have been confirmed for the FA Cup semi-final in England and the FA Cup final, the Carabao Cup final. 4, 8, 21,000 people. So even in April and May, there's progress. There's progress there. The CEO of the FA, Mark Bullingham, someone I worked with in my previous role, he's come out to say on record that his aspiration is that by the end of the Euros, Wembley will be a full stadium. Clearly with vaccine certificates and testing and all of those protocols in place. So we're really encouraged by what we're hearing. We at Rangers are absolutely ready. We put a lot of investment into our processes, into making sure that we're ready in terms of the protocols. We've got a COVID officer, Robin Howe, that leads all of that at the club. And we're hopeful as well in terms of what we're seeing here in Scotland to some degree in terms of the Euros and having some supporters in for the Scotland games at Hampden. So the direction of travel is positive. We are absolutely ready. And the moment that we can welcome supporters back into the stadium, you can guarantee that everyone at Rangers will be ready to do so.
Fantastic news. Gentlemen, thank you both very much for your time today. I hope that was a very useful bit of time we spent for the supporters there. Ross, obviously wish you all the best for what remains of this season, looking ahead to next season. And James, thank you also, and very exciting times for the club, both on and off the field. Thank you very much.